Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Mariani, and I'm here for a little gruesome review, where I won't be reviewing something, but Doc will be. It is the big weekend of release of Friday the 13th, October 13th, 2017. It is Happy Death Day, the latest film from Blumhouse, so I know, Doc, you were probably pretty excited, right?
I was, I like Blumhouse, yes. Before we get into this, be sure to check out Horror News Radio, episode 237. Is that right? Where we'll be talking about this and another feature in full with a lot of people. But this is a short review to kind of get an idea what to look for this weekend if you're catching this early, or in the past if you're catching it later. Happy Death Day is, like it sounds, it is the Groundhog Day of horror. It is directed by Christopher Landon, who has directed a few of the Paranormal Activity films.
He directed the marked ones. He directed Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Yes. But he's written several of the sequels of Paranormal Activity.
Correct. And of course, Scout's Guide was really fun. And he brings this offers him a lot of opportunity to play around with the camera and have some fun, because of the nature of the story, which follows, this, Tree Gelbman. I cannot pronounce her last name, but, she goes by Tree, played by Jessica Rothe. And she is a college student who wakes up in a dorm room off a drunk night and is, not too happy about it, and also not too pleasant. She is not a nice character and goes through the day only to find herself murdered. But what happens when she is killed is she wakes back up that morning back in the dorm room and starts her day again. And keeps going and going and going, trying to figure out who's trying to kill her. So it's kind of it's in the way it does the film, which is written by Scott Lobdell, who is a rather prolific comic book writer. He'd
written a lot for X-Men, right?
Sure did. This film plays more like a comedy and a character beat. Because it's basically, allowing this character to discover more about herself than it is about the mystery or the murder. It really becomes less and less about that and more about her, which is fine for what this movie is. But it has a lot of fun with the murders and the setup and the twist and the turns, none of which it takes terribly seriously, which is to its own benefit. The performance by Jessica Rothe is fantastic. She is quite good in her role and is quite the scream queen. Gets a lot of opportunity to belt out the screams and looks great and acts great. And what is surprising is because of the nature of the story and how it kind of shifts gears into that, it actually earns a few moments of honest to God character development that kind of elevate this film a little bit above what it actually is. It was, I was rather surprised by that. It's a lot of fun, but don't expect Shakespeare. This is not a serious movie. It is exactly, what a film called Happy Death Day would be. But it's competent. It's funny. It's delightful. It's kind of cute. It pushes the boundaries of PG-13 as much as a film like this would want to. It gets its one F-bomb in there. It has a couple of interesting moments of gore. And you can tell what crowd it is made for. Back in the day, we might have called them the MTV crowd. I'm not sure what you call them now. What do you call them, Thomas? They're not millennials. What would they be now? I don't know. But I think they would really love this film. It ended up being really entertaining and surprised me in that way.
Well, and I'll be covering this on Horror News Radio, Doc, but I did have one question because Groundhog Day, as you mentioned, this obviously borrows a lot of influence on, and that's one of my favorite movies of all time. How does it play with the sort of repeating the day over and over again thing in ways that are different from Groundhog Day? Does it do that, or does it kind of follow the playbook pretty hard on that level.
It plays it so much that it even pays direct homage to it, that, you know, it hit in a meta way. So it knows that it's doing this, but it you know, she is being killed over and over again, and those injuries stay with her. So there's a point in the film, it's in the trailer, so I'm not giving anything away, where she, you know, reveals that she has scars that would indicate that she should be dead, but she's somehow surviving. And it is interesting that, you know, she realizes that even though she gets to do this over and over again until she figures it out, it's not as unlimited as you might think. That, you know, she is running out of time. It has a little bit more fun with the relationship that, you know, develops in here. It's not as critical in the way Groundhog Day was, but it is very influential on her character. In other words, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Groundhog, he was very much enamored with the girl over and over again, right? Where this is the opposite, and changes where she becomes comes to like him, and through that, it changes her, and that's the point of the story. And it's really, it works in that respect in a great way.
So is it more Groundhog Day or Edge of Tomorrow in that way, Doc?
Edge of Tomorrow. No, it's much more Groundhog Day than Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah, maybe a little dash of, you know, Back to the Future or something. But there's a lot of influences in here, but it knows it's doing it, and it has a great time with it.
Well, Doc, why don't you give us your score and favorite scene then for Happy Death Day?
I'm probably going to disappoint a lot of horror fans out there and give this a nice solid 3.75. I don't know if all horror fans will come up with that, and but it's fun. And my favorite scene, okay. So my favorite scene is at one point she kind of realizes what she needs to do. And she is rather elated. You know, she's figured it out, and she's got the day to do it. This is later in the film, obviously. She decides to kind of handle her day as she leaves, which happens over and over again, in a very certain way that is a lot of fun, which ends with a pillow and this one character that passes out over and over again. And it just illustrates how much fun this movie is having, and then how much fun Jessica Rothe is having in this role.
All right, well, yeah, that's Happy Death Day, the latest horror movie based on a holiday, I guess, coming out October 13th, Friday the 13th of this week, the big October release of the middle of October. It's always good to have a decent horror movie then in theaters, Doc. That doesn't always happen on Halloween.
Doesn't always. Kind of does this time. If you're in the mood, you got to be in the mood for this.
You always got to be in the mood. Well, thank you, Doc, for your thoughts. And once again, make sure to listen to that Horror News Radio episode all about that and another feature we'll announce later.
Good night.
Good night.
Be sure to visit GruesomeMagazine.com to listen to the other Gruesome podcasts, Horror News Radio, and Decades of Horror. Also check out the Gruesome Magazine Quarterly, available in digital and print-on-demand format.